Hey there, my name is Przemek, and this is the 6th part of my top 50 favorite dark deep ambient albums. So we are halfway through. Today places 25 to 21. And of course, as always, first of all, thanks for watching all the previous videos. And if you haven't seen them yet, I leave the links to the first 5 videos in the not comment in the description of the video, of course. And okay, number 25, Beherit Electric Doom Synthesis. And this might be the most controversial choice on my list. First of all, Beherit is a black metal band, legendary I might add, the Finnish group led by Nuclear Holocausto, and their albums such as The Oath of Black Blood or Drawing Down the Moon are classics of the black metal genre, no matter how you look at it. And on the following albums, after these first two, the Finns began to have an affair with electronics. The third album was titled H Numbers something numbers. I don't remember exactly the title. However, I chose Electric Doom Synthesis, the band's fourth album. The album I bought 25 years ago in a music megastore in Andorra. I didn't realize back then how much this album will blow my mind and mess with my brain. And yes, this is primarily electronic music, but it's not pure dark ambient. There are elements of black metal, industrial, and even EBM, I think. But for me, it's a very dark ambient album. However, I wondered for quite a long time whether the presence of Electric Doom Synthesis on this list wouldn't be a kind of abuse or something. But if it weren't for one thing, for one fact, about that fact a bit later. Most of the tracks are based on rhythm and a kind of song structure, although with a very little use of vocals. Yet the whole thing exudes with a kind of northern darkness, but not like in the case of a typical black metal band. It's a Finnish forest, it's a pagan ritual, or rather an occult ritual, although reflected using late 20th century electronics. And maybe it's not true, maybe I confabulate here, but for me it's a sound and atmosphere that could only be achieved right up there in Finland. And maybe now I'm entering even deeper in those divagations, and these are perhaps false speculations, but for me this album is a predecessor of what later, using other means of expression, the oral hypnox artists were creating. And you may disagree with me, but I consider Electric Doom Synthesis as a kind of progenitor, a kind of godfather of the later work of oral hypnox. The last 3 songs on this one are crushing. Drawing Down the Moon with that looped riff that drills into your brain is a piece I could listen to forever. The way the Drawing Down the Moon is transforming into Sense, another track, is a phenomenal few seconds of music. The whole Sense with its great background soundscape, tribal rhythm, bass guitar part, and the sounds of night forest creatures is magic, black magic. And the finale, Temple, probably in the most typical dark ambient piece. In all these fragments, the final fragments of the album, Beherit rises to the heights of building a disturbing, mysterious atmosphere. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if Beherit had never existed, Oral Hypnox would have made its mark on the dark ambient scene anyway. But for me, one fact grows out of the other, and in a straight line, and that's why Electric Doom Synthesis is number 25 on my list. But mainly because it's an excellent album. Number 24. Inner Vision Laboratory, Anywhere Out of This World. It's a second Polish album on this list, after Buceau de la Lune, Around Borderline, which was on the 49th place, I think. Anyway, Inner Vision Laboratory is a project by Karol Skrzypiec, and Anywhere Out of This World is the album from 2010, released by Beast of Prey. Generally, it seems to me that although we have some good dark ambient projects in Poland, such as Paranoia Indocta, Up Intra, Dead Factory, Poland in general is not among the leaders of the genre. Just now I realized that probably no Polish album has even been released either on Cold Meat Industry, Cyclic Law or Cryo Chamber. But we have Inner Vision Laboratory. At the time of creating Anywhere Out of This World, I suppose Karol was still looking for his creative path, because, for example, the album released for War Office Propaganda, Insane Reality, was very industrial, with machine-like beats, loud, dynamic compositions. The same goes with Future Chaos from 2011. This one, I think, was released by Zaharum. Sci-fi themed cinematic, also with very industrial touch, and between them a delicate and sensitive album like Anywhere Out of This World. I won't say exactly which album it is in the career of the project, because Discogs started to make a fuss while recording this video, but 2010, Beast of Prey, Anywhere Out of This World is the kind of album that, maybe I'm wrong, but I have the impression that anyone could say that it refers precisely to his own emotions and inner desires, dreams and doubts, to your own little dramas. You feel as if the musician understands perfectly what's going on inside you, outside this or within this shell that those around you see every day. It's ambient, not devoid of certain dose of darkness, but generally very nostalgic and melancholic. It's touching, but it avoids cheap musical despair or depression. Spacious, yet a bit foggy, sometimes with delicate oriental feeling. And I once mentioned in the review that it reminds me of a morning spent in a cheap hotel at the seaside, at the seaside, a cigarette on a balcony, and contemplation of my own small failures. Overall, I'm satisfied with my life. I don't have any huge expectations, but because basically I have everything I need. But every time I listen to this album, I remind of moments in my life when I could or should have done something better or differently, and where I could be today instead of where I am. This is exactly what anywhere out of this world is, at least for me. Best moments, piano part at Memorial, in Memorial track, the track number 3. Basically, the whole After All track, the whole Vanity track with the samples from No Country for Old Men by Brothers Cohen. This album has a few weaker fragments or moments, but overall it's an excellent work. Later, Inner Vision Laboratory never went below a certain level, creating albums which were at least solid and most often simply good or very good, but it's anywhere out of this world that will always remain in my heart. Yeah, that was number 24, Inner Vision Laboratory, Anywhere Out of This World. And now number 23. Netherworld, Over the Summit. Netherworld comes from Italy, and it's a project led by Alessandro Tedeschi, who also runs the Glacial Movements label, one of the most interesting labels currently on the ambient scene. At the beginning of his career, Alessandro released several albums, among others for Ambra Records, the Gianluigi Gasparetti's label, Gianluigi from Obhoj. Baldur, just a moment. Sorry. And the first Netherworld album I've heard was Marketed from 2007. I don't really like that album. I mean, it's quite good in, composition-wise, but there are a lot of high-pitch sounds or frequencies, which I find pretty annoying. A year later, in 2008, Fario Records, label from France, specializing in interesting experimental collaborations, released the collaboration Magma to Ice Netherworld with Nadia, the Drone Doom band by Aidan Baker and Leah Bakarev, and it was a really great piece of music. If my memory serves me right, I considered this album to be my favorite, released in 2008. And it was then when I realized that Netherworld knows perfectly well what the glacial branch of ambient is all about. I wasn't wrong, because Over the Summit, released in 2011, is one of the most perfect glacial ambient albums ever created, at least in my opinion. Now I will take an easy way out and quote a part of my review from 2011, which I wrote only in Polish language in Santa Sangre. Over the Summit is an album devoid of human warmth and yet somehow dreamy. icy but airy, like a delicate fog. The album's opening title track is the glittering echoes of the polar wind dancing near the horizon. This opening, however, doesn't herald what is to come later. Aurora performs its last show, a simple looped motif. Slowly, with each subsequent loop, it seems to cover more and more of the space, and an old radio transmission floats above it. But it is actually the next track that impresses me the most. Ice Blink, Aurora Borealis mix. Again, a melancholic, captivating motif repeated over and over again for almost 15 minutes, surrounded by the Arctic wind pressing into every crevice, moving ice masses, the breath of unspoiled nature, and the almost tangible feeling of being on some endless ice plain. Biosphere, Thomas Conner, sure, you can feel their influence here, but so what? Alessandro Tedeschi very skillfully uses the knowledge he acquired by listening to the classics of his older colleagues, reaching the equally high level of creativity. After the third track, the atmosphere calms down a bit. Crystallized worlds sounds like processed samples of some classical music, around which echoes of voices spoken decades ago float around. Thoughts Trapped in Ice is an icy but somehow soothing Arctic breath that makes you realize that it's so cold that you don't even feel it. Beautiful, airy harmonies, and again, I know I'm repeating myself, this amazing space. The album ends with Hyperborea, probably its darkest fragment, where the title may be about some forgotten land or civilization, but only isolationist noises can be heard, and any memory of human, if any, is hidden somewhere deep in the ice. I wrote these words several years ago, and I believe they are still valid, and I have the impression that with each passing year this album becomes even more noble. Another Netherworld albums are not outstanding in my opinion, although still very good, but Over the Summit is still top. This is the second Glacial Ambient album on the list after Thomas Conner, Teimo. I don't think it will surprise anyone, but there are still a few more Glacial Ambient albums, a few more to come. Number 23, Netherworld, Over the Summit. And now number 22, Nimh plus MB, Secluded Truths. We stay in Italy. Secluded Truths is a 2005 album released by Silentes Records, and it is a collaboration between Nimh, a project by Giuseppe Verticchio, a very prolific, experienced ambient experimental musician, and MB, which of course stands for Maurizio Bianchi, the Italian legend of industrial music, who's been recording music since the early 80s. And this album is available separately and as a part of the Together Symphony box, containing one more collaboration by these two musicians and one solo album by Nimh and Maurizio Bianchi each. If you want an album that is quintessence of the term dreamlike ambient, this is it. You remember how in the first episode, on the occasion of Trome's Tukurpa album, I said that it was the record inspired by dreams. Yet the first track on Secluded Truths, Before the Light, is a dream itself, or rather a musical reflection of a dream. I can't imagine an album that would come closer to kind of reproducing what's going on in your mind when you're sleeping, when you close your eyes and this particular song comes to your ears. You are instantly transported beyond the veil of light and reality. It's literally lucid dreaming. And I'm talking about the first track, but the following ones also have this otherworldly mood, although they seem to be a bit more transparent, making it easier to identify the sources of sounds and the structures. Some tracks also refer to other genres, like the title piece and those parts straight from Berlin School. Basically, each track is a bit different, but each one is dominated by this strange atmosphere, neither dark nor light, difficult to describe in such mundane, earthly terms. You will recognize a piano, an electric guitar, and probably a few other instruments, but it's all blended together that you wonder whether it's created by people consciously, or whether it is some kind of brainwave transmission arranged into music. Of course, many other albums by both musicians are worth recommending, but when thinking about these two artists, Secluded Truths is always the first that comes to my mind. Although, in the case of Nimh, I must mention that very close to this top 50 was a collaboration with Amon titled Sator. Number 22, Nimh and Maurizio Bianchi, Secluded Truths. Just a moment. Baldur! Shh. So I have each video and I have this problems with the cat. Okay, number 21. Number 21 is Circular, Cycles of Remembrance. Lucky Foundation again. We have two circulars on the underground electronic scene. One is from Norway, an ambient down-tempo band that often refers to Arctic climates. A very cool project, recording albums among others for Ultime Records. But today we'll talk about Circular from Germany. In one of the previous videos I said that the pillars of the Loki Foundation are innate and Herbst 9. Now, when I think of it, Circular, a project by Johannes Riedel, should be considered as the third pillar, really. The pillar standing a bit at the back, maybe perhaps less representative and less known, but no less important. 4 full albums for Loki Foundation, some shorter materials, and absolutely each and every album by Circular is top notch. It was difficult for me to decide on just one album, but I include the second one, Cycles of Remembrance. from 2010, but consider it as a representative of the entire circular discography, a discography of a very, very high and a very kind of equal standard. I choose Cycles of Remembrance because it seems to me that between the debut, Shaping the Unknown, and Cycles of Remembrance, there was the kind of biggest qualitative leap in terms of the complexity and richness of the compositions, as well as the technical quality of the album. Later, these changes were not so noticeable, although the project's progress was obvious. However, as I say, every single Circular album is perfect for me, basically without any flaws. It's ambient, but very close to song structures. The feeling is always kind of cosmic, sci-fi, not too dark, more reminding of pioneer exploration sci-fi from the 50s or 60s, then with kind of alien style horror, mystery, but also hope and the desire to explore beautiful new worlds, science and humanity at the intersection and infinite space. I refer to one of the tracks. If someone would ever made a movie adaptation of Dan Simmons' Hyperion novel, I wouldn't want any Hans Zimmer or Ludwig Göransson or whoever is popular today, but I would like to have Circular as a composer of a soundtrack, especially since this music is very cinematic and illustrative, and above all, Johannes Riedel has a mega talent when it comes to great melodies. Seriously, if he wanted to, he could probably make a career in more commercial genres like pop or rock or commercial electronic music, as his tracks as Circular are often super catchy, like volcanic and fervent on the debut. On this one, on Cycles of Remembrance, it is this mentioned intersection at the infinite space. On Radiating Perpetual Light, it's beneath the luminous sky. On Ghost White, it is absolutely stellar piece, golden amber shades. I hold Cycles of Remembrance in particular esteem, but really, as I said another time, all albums by Circular are outstanding. But number 22, Circular, Cycles of Remembrance. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks for watching and see you soon.